start out by just giving you an example of what I think teachers need to know. I started a class last week off campus. It was a population of individuals similar to the one you described, Michelle. 24 early childhood educators who are working in the field. They don't have enough units. They've been told that if they don't get the units that they need by the end of the summer, they're going to lose their jobs. So they were forced to take this class. They did not want to come to the campus. They felt intimidated by the college, so I decided to go off campus and teach the class at their site, where they came, not all of them work at the same site, but they all came together at this one site in the Iron Triangle in Richmond, California. The population is primarily African American and Latina. There are 4 men in the group, 4 African American young men in the group, one of whom is my stepson. So, we put this class together really quickly. We didn't have enough books available for everyone, so I had 24 students and 12 books. Several of them work at the same site. I asked them if they could share textbooks. I had lecture outlines for them and notes and so forth. I gave them books that they could share at their site. And everybody said, oh, fine, great, wonderful. We're so happy we don't have to buy the textbook. Well, that was Thursday. By Saturday, I started getting telephone calls because I had given them my cell phone number. They won't share the book with me. You know, by Wednesday, everybody is up in arms about not being able to share books. And so their executive director went and retrieved all the books from everybody, assembled them back together again, and then gave them dictates about how they're supposed to share. So I'm telling you all this story for a reason. This is what I'm dealing with early childhood professionals who teach children supposedly how to what? Share. All right. And I'm not putting them down. I'm simply saying to y'all that when we start talking about what the adult educators need, they need some of the same things that children need. And a lot of it, I mean, a lot of them have very highly developed literacy skills, y'all. They still don't know how to get along. And the social and emotional needs of people who work with young children is very important and very acute. So as those of you who are putting together your technological programs, I want you all to be aware of the fact that I think adults need to have more experience in terms of self-exploration, identifying their own needs, especially the needs that they have that weren't met when they were young. I think they need to understand self-disclosure, which means bringing themselves into closer relationships with themselves, with the children, with peers, and with parents. I see a lot of children and families that are sometimes distanced in this educational process because they're being judged. And they're being judged by people who work with them in the field. So in addition to some of the explicit directions that you may give in terms of how to develop literacy skills and science skills and mathematical skills, we also need to help people learn how to be engaging with each other. I think that if we're going to use this technology, where does the whole issue of connecting to feelings come in? How do we use this technology so that we can model for children what it means to be a developed human being? Where in this process is there a learning loop so that trainers who present information to practitioners also receive information from practitioners in terms of transformation of what they're doing so that it does in fact meet the needs of the learner. And it's not just experts and people who've done research coming into a community and telling people what they need to know. And along those same lines, I would ask the question of who establishes the concepts and the norms for what's presented in this technology? Is it reflective of a pluralistic society? Is it multicultural? Is it inclusive? Is it respectful? Does it take into account the difference in cultural values and beliefs? You'd be surprised at the vast majority of our classes now are multicultural. And to come in with one particular mindset that says we are all about this, or human development or child development looks a particular way, is really being very disrespectful for all the lived experiences that people have. So as we consider how to plan, how to create policies, I want you to consider who are we dealing with in terms of who are the population, what's the population of people in the early childhood educational field. Oftentimes they're second language learners, women of color, individuals who are stressed, overworked, limited in resources, and oftentimes need mental health resources in their community that aren't available to them. I'd also like to mention, when we talk about children and how children learn, and children being able to learn via technological assistance, many of the children in this area, especially where I'm teaching this class, have been impacted negatively by issues of poverty, trauma, and violence in their lives. No amount of technological assistance is going to help them effectively deal with those issues in their life. Many of these children need human-to-human contact. And I'm going to end with a story that still sticks in my mind from 20 years ago when I first started teaching in Marin County. And I was teaching there an early childhood center that had lots of children who were, this was their refuge. Their parents oftentimes were substance abusers. They came from families that were impoverished and so forth and so on. And I remember this one little girl named Sierra who came to the school and was very rejected by her peers as well as the adults. And Sierra was a large girl, very dark-skinned, as we would say, nappy hair, had everything going against her in terms of making her a pleasant child. In addition to that, she urinated on herself, so most of the time she smelled like pee. And you know how children are. I don't want to play with Sierra. Sierra smells like pee, right? Now the children said it, the teachers acted it out because they never wanted to be around Sierra. Sierra urinated on herself all the time. But Sierra took a liking to me for whatever reason, and I think it's because usually I have on some kind of bling bling, shiny rhinestone stuff. So Sierra came, and Sierra came to me at circle time and sat on my lap. And she reeked of urine. And I had on new rhinestone jeans. And as Sierra sat on my lap, y'all, I could feel the wetness going through from her skin to my skin, you know. She hadn't peed on me, but her pants were already wet, so it was seeping through. And Sierra just sat, turned around, and looked at me. And continued to just stare in my face. And I sat still, did not move at all. And Sierra sat and looked at me until she was through looking. And she said to me, you ain't nothing but a mirror. Crawled down off my lap and walked away. It is the most profound testimony to me as a professional that I have ever received. Because that's the best that any of us can be to another human being, is a mirror for them. And when she looked that deeply in my eyes, she saw her own reflection. And that's what I was, a mirror for her. And that's what we are as human beings, mirrors for each other. Now, I don't know if your technology can duplicate that or not. I don't know. But I think it's very profound as we move into this era that we become more and more aware of who the educator really is and what the educator really does. And everything is not going to be duplicated through technology. So if we can find a balance here, I'm not opposed to that. But I'm telling you, this is not a panacea. It never will be. And I will never, ever use media out of fear of somebody not achieving or somebody else having another edge over me. I think the educator is the greatest tool in the classroom, and nothing can replace a good teacher.